Okay. This is my third time to try this. Let's see if I can get through it this time. So I noticed something really interesting about the Super Bowl game. First of all, notice who the competitors were. You have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. So if you'll notice well, first of all, before we even go into that, um, let's look. Where did it take place? It was at State Farm Stadium in Glendale. What does Glendale mean? Glendale is the anglicized version of the Gaelic Gleandal, which means valley of fertile, low-lying arable land. And where is this place located? In the middle of the Arizona desert, right? Right there in Phoenix, which of course is the bird that rises from the ashes from the burning. There is so much symbolism here; it's just unbelievable. But one of the things that I wanted to share, so it is a valley of fertile, low-lying arable land. Um, I find that okay. So actually, let me go back here. So the two competitors, we'll come back to the arable land because that'll make sense here in a minute. But so the two competitors are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, why did this grab me so hard? Well, it grabbed me so hard because there is a prophecy about arrows, and it is in the book of Isaiah. Let me take you there. Okay, so this is the prophecy that started coming into my mind as I was looking at who was competing against whom. So it says, "Listen to me, O islands, pay attention, O distant peoples." Now, this is really interesting because this prophecy is not to Israel, ancient Israel. It's not a prophecy to Judea or Judah. It doesn't specifically say House of Jacob. What does it say? It says, "Listen to me, O islands, pay attention, O distant peoples." Okay. So, why would it say that? I think that I'm going to make a case for that here in a minute. Why it's talking to these people that are on the islands that are a great distance from Ezekiel. No, I'm sorry, this is Isaiah. Isaiah during his time, right? Because he would have been in the Holy Land. So let's see what happens. Yahweh called me from the womb. Now, you might hear me say Yahweh or Yahuwah. I have two different groups of people that I love dearly. One uses the word Yahweh, one uses Yahuwah. Um, the um, the word the Lord is actually nothing more than the Hebrew, excuse me, than the Hebrew Yod He Vav He. So you have Yod, this little Yod, and He, and Vav or Wow, depending um, on who you're listening to, and He. Right? So it's just these four letters, all right? And some people pronounce that Yahweh, and some people pronounce that Yahuwah. I think Yahweh is another one I've heard. Anyway, but that's what I'm referring to. So anyway, Yahweh called me from the womb, from the body of my mother, he named me. He made my mouth like a sharp sword. He hid me in the shadow of his hand. This is interesting because we have some other references to being hidden. Whoops, I meant to go here. Hid me, right? Let me try that again. Well, it's hard to control this. He hid me, right? He made me like a polished arrow. So these people that he is addressing, okay, the islands, the people in the islands, these distant people, okay, that's who he's addressing, right? He said would be made like a polished arrow that's hidden in his quiver. He said to me, "You are my servant, what? Israel, in whom I will display my glory." Whoa, okay. So we have Israel in the islands, a distant people who are going to be a polished arrow who is hid in his quiver. All right. Let's look up do I keep going or do I look up a few references? Let's keep going a little bit further. But I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength in futility and vanity. So this servant, okay, Israel, is feeling defeated at this point. Feeling like his strength was spent in futility and vanity. Okay. Yeah, my vindication is with the Lord, was with Yahweh, and my reward is with my Elohim. The word God translates to Elohim. Okay. And now says Yahweh, who formed me from the womb to be his what? His servant. So Yahweh knows who his people are. And these people are born to be his servant. They are born to be Israel. Okay. And Yahweh knows where Israel is located. And we're going to get to that. It says, and what? He formed me from the womb, from the beginning, from our mortal births, to do what? To bring back Jacob. And why do we have to bring back Jacob? So that Israel might be gathered to him. All right. So this is the job of this servant, Israel. All right. This servant, Israel, who I'm going to show you is indeed found in the islands, a people distant from Isaiah. Okay. Not in the old land. And we're going to walk through this. All right. So let's go back just for a second. Okay. So he hid me in his quiver. Let's read a few verses about being hidden. Okay. So this one is Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 3. Seek Yahweh, all you humble of the earth who carry out his justice. Seek righteousness, seek humility. Here's the key phrase. Perhaps you will be sheltered or hidden, is what it says. See, if you look, it says that this is Tisateru, which means to hide, conceal. Okay. Perhaps you will be hidden on the day of Yahweh's anger. Okay. So this is a specific group that's going to be hidden, right? Like the polished arrow that's hidden in his quiver. Let's go to another one about this group that's going to be hidden. This is Psalm 91. I'm starting in verse 1. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to Yahweh, you are my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Let's go ahead and switch this now to the KJV version. That was the BSB version. He that dwelleth in the secret place, okay, in the secret place, so hidden, okay, of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of Yahweh, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. Then what's going to happen to those people? It says in the very next couple verses, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. So there's a pestilence coming and they'll be delivered from it. He shall cover thee with his feathers. Now, this is going to be important because we're about to read about two eagles. Remember who they were playing against. So you had the Kansas City Chiefs, whose symbol is the arrow, and they were playing against the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And we're about to look at a prophecy about two eagles, all right? There's only one eagle that we want to be associated with, right? That we're going to mount up as on wings of eagles. I'll look that one up for you too. Hang on. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. He shall be thy shield and buckler. Okay, hang on a second. There's one more. Now, this one is Isaiah 26, 20 through 21. Come, my people. Who? My people. All right, my servant. Israel, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, okay, hidden in his quiver, as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpast. For behold, Yahweh cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. Okay, this is Isaiah 40. I'm going to start in verse 29. He gives power to the faint. This is talking about Yahweh, and increases the strength of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who wait upon Yahweh will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Okay. These eagle wings we're about to talk about right now in just a second. So this servant, Israel, is actually not going to be in a good place at one point as far as in his head. Okay. It says here, well, sorry, I'm not very good at drawing with the mouse. Anyway, it says, but I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength in futility and vanity. Yet my vindication is with Yahweh and my reward is with my Elohim. Okay. So they're in a condition of being discouraged at this point. And then what is going to happen? It says, and now says Yahweh, who formed me from the womb to be his servant, right? So, I mean, we were born specifically, whoever this is, to be his servant. Why? To bring Jacob back to him, that Israel might be gathered to him. Okay. And then it goes on to say, after this is accomplished, he says, it's not enough for you to be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob. Okay. So to bring back Israel, all the 12 tribes, that's not enough. And to restore the protected ones of Israel. Okay. So that's not enough. What else? I will make you a light to the nations to bring my salvation to the ends of the earth. Who is the Savior? Where's the salvation come in? That is Yahushua HaMashiach. That is Jesus Christ. Okay, that is Yeshua. Depending on which word you use to talk about Jesus Christ. Okay, it's really interesting. Let me just come down here. See, it says in the day of salvation, who is the Savior? Okay, I will keep you and appoint you to be a covenant for the people. To do what? To restore the land, to apportion its desolate inheritances. Oh, I'm doing a bad job with this thing. To say to the prisoners, come out. Okay, so that is the arrow, all right? And notice that they won, although my understanding is, I'm not into sports, so I didn't watch it, but my understanding is they were down at the halftime and things were looking bleak. They won at the very end by kicking, I hope I'm saying that right, a field goal or something like that. I don't know anything about sports, but it was a last minute effort from what I understand. Now, something interesting about that is I want to read to you about these servants, the Jacob, the servant, okay? So this group that he's going to call are constantly called the daughter of Zion. They're already here. They're called the house of Jacob or the daughter of Zion, the house of Jacob, because they haven't wrestled before the Lord yet. They haven't been cleansed and sanctified. So they are still Jacob. They have not yet really received the title Israel. Okay. And there's constantly this wording about them being like a woman in labor. It's all over the scriptures. But anyway, I'm in Jeremiah 4:31. It says, for I hear a cry like a woman in labor, a cry of anguish, like one bearing her first child. Now, this is interesting because then we get into all the references about the firstborn son. Man, I can go so many places with this. Oh, do I go there or do I wait and do it in another video? I think I better wait because that's a long rabbit hole, but an amazing one. Anyway, a cry of anguish like one bearing her first child, the cry of the daughter of Zion. So that is who's crying. Okay, gasping for breath, stretching out her hands to say, "Woe is me, for my soul faints before the murderers." So, just like I said, when we were over here in Isaiah 49, and it told us that she says, let me find it real quick. Right here in verse 14, she says, "But Zion said, Yahweh has forsaken me, Yahweh has forgotten me." But then he says in verse 15, "Can a woman forget her nursing child?" Right? And what did it just say? "Like a woman about to give birth to her firstborn child, or lack compassion for the son of her womb? Even if she could forget, I will not forget you. Behold, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me." And remember that earlier in verse 4 of the same chapter, it says, "I've labored in vain. I have spent my strength in futility and vanity." Right? So she's in this state of extreme distress just before God sanctifies her, and she becomes what she is meant to be. But before we go any further, remember what it said, that the purpose of this servant, right, is was for the purpose of the servant formed from the womb was to bring back Jacob, that Israel might be gathered. So let's figure out, who is Jacob and why does he need to be brought back? All right. So to figure out who Jacob is, we can just go to the previous chapter, chapter 48 of Isaiah. So here in chapter 48 of Isaiah, I'm not going to do this version. I'm going to do the King James, because the translation is not correct there. So it says, "Hear ye this, O house of Jacob." Remember, we wanted to find out who Jacob was. So here's an address to Jacob, Isaiah 48, "which are called by the name of Israel. Israel, Israel, God is calling." I mean, who is that referring to? Okay, who believes that they are Israel, that God is calling? These are the Christians. "And are come forth what? Out of the waters of Judah." I'm going to submit to you that the waters of Judah are a reference to the action of baptism, right? Who is the Lion of Judah? Jesus Christ, right? It's his waters. All right. So we're coming out of the waters of Judah, "which swear by the name of Yahweh." Oh, I just did terribly with that. "And make mention of the God of Israel." Now, this is interesting. So you have them swearing by the name of Yahweh and making mention. Another of the translation says, "and call upon or invoke the name of the God of Israel, but not in truth or righteousness." Who is the God of Israel? Why are there two different gods being referenced here? I would submit that Yahweh's the Father, and the God of Israel is referring to Yahushua HaMashiach, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, depending on how you like to refer to him. But not, here's the problem. This is why Jacob has to be brought back to him. Why? Because they're not doing it in truth or righteousness. Okay, they call upon his name, right? They draw near to him with their lips, but their hearts are far from them. Okay, they don't know Yahushua HaMashiach, right? They really don't know him. They have a form of godliness. They think they know him, but it's really the precepts of men that they're following. They really don't know who he is. "For they call themselves of the holy city." This is really interesting, right? How many of our Christians would consider themselves Zionists? What is the holy city? Zion. How many of them would consider themselves Zionists? You know, um, isn't that interesting? Also, if you are LDS or Mormon, then do you not consider yourselves, all of your meeting houses, to be in the stakes of Zion? Okay, so they're calling themselves after the holy city. All right. And stay themselves upon the God of Israel. Once again, upon, I would submit, Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. The Lord of hosts is his name. All right. How many times are we told in prophecies? Or how many times does it talk about the Lord of hosts? Who is going to muster his troops in the last days here? That's Yahushua HaMashiach. All right. Hosts or troops. Okay. So this is Yahweh, right? Sabaoth. All right. This is the Lord of hosts. All right. Continuing, I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them. I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. Why did he do it suddenly? Why was it just shocking to everyone? Was a nation born in a day? Why? Because I knew that you are obstinate, and your neck is an iron sinew, and your brow brass. I've even from the beginning declared it to you. Before it came to pass, I showed it to you, lest you should say, my idol has done them, and my graven image and my molten image has commanded them. You have heard, see all this, and will you not declare it? I have shown you new things from this time, even hidden things, and you did not know them, right? So this people are a people who say that they believe, but they don't, right? They believe in the work of their own hands, right? So here we are with those two groups. Do you see this? Hearken unto me, O Jacob, and Israel, my called. All right. So Israel is called. This is a servant. This is a group of people that are called to be a servant to bring back Jacob so that the house of Israel can be gathered and to be a light unto the nations. Right. That is the job. All ye assemble yourselves and hear which among them hath declared these things. Yahweh hath loved him, and he will do his pleasure, what? On Babylon, and his arm shall be on the Chaldeans. This is Babylon. This is, what is it called? Hang on a second. This is Mystery Babylon, right? This is the latter day Babylon, okay? And the Chaldeans, that's interesting. You have two different groups here. So the Babylonians in ancient history were from the line of Ham, okay? They came through the son, or was it grandson of Ham that was cursed. Okay, those are the Babylonians. The Chaldeans, on the other hand, were from the line of Shem. But the Chaldeans had come upon sacred knowledge, and they became great astrologers and became the wise men that the kings of Babylon called upon. And at times, they were even the rulers of the nation of Babylon. So this is a corrupted nation, and this is a corrupted people within that nation. And they are both about to be, to receive the wrath of the Almighty. I'm going to read one more verse. I like this verse. Thus saith Yahweh, thy Redeemer. Who's the Redeemer? Who's the Redeemer of Israel? The Holy One of Israel. Who is this? Okay, I am Yahweh, your Elohim, which teacheth thee to profit, which leadeth thee by the way that thou shouldest go. Oh, that thou hast hearkened to my commandments. What did Jesus Christ, Yahushua HaMashiach, Yeshua HaMashiach, say to us? He said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Right? Then had thy peace been like a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. Thy seed also had been as the sand, and the offspring of thy bowels like the gravel thereof. His name should not have been cut off, nor destroyed from before me. Okay, so I probably went a little further than I should have. So if you look in verse 1 and 2, those are the most important verses. All we wanted to do was just establish who is this house of Jacob that this servant has the task of returning to Yahweh. Who is it? Okay, remember the house of Jacob are called by the name of Israel. They come forth out of the waters of Judah, which I believe are the waters of baptism. They swear on the name of Yahweh and make mention of the God of Israel, but not in truth or righteousness. I would say the God of Israel is Yahushua HaMashiach, right? They stay themselves upon the God of Israel. The Lord of hosts is his name. And they call themselves the holy city. I would submit that those are Christians. Okay. The Christians are out of the way. The same way that the Jews were out of the way, or Northern Israel was out of the way in their time. So I would submit that this is who has to be returned to their Savior. Going back to Isaiah 48, I just want to make mention of verse 20 here. It says, "Go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans. With a voice of singing declare ye, tell this, utter it even to the end of the earth. Say ye, what? The Lord hath redeemed his servant Jacob." Okay. That is the plan. Okay, it's to bring Jacob back to him. Go ye forth of Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans. That refers us back to, or forward, I should say, to the book of Revelation. So here we are in Revelation chapter 18. It's all about the fall of Babylon. And in verse 4, it says, "Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins or contract any of her plagues. For her sins are piled up to heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities." I actually like the eloquence of this better in KJV. Let's read that one. "And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." Okay, so there's another tie to the game here. And interestingly enough, it is a tie to the book of Revelations. And then we're going to go talk about who the eagles are. I promise you, we're going there in just a second. So in the book of Revelations, let me go here, chapter 3, this is one of the 7 churches. It says, "And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia write," I'm in verse 7, chapter 3, "These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David, he that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee." Do you know what? There was a reference to that in Isaiah 48. Let me go there. And it was in reference to the servants. Hang on. This is about the kings and queens of the Gentiles. It's really interesting. It says, "This is what Yahweh Elohim says." This is, actually, I think Lord God is Adonai Elohim says. This is Isaiah 49:22. "Behold, I will lift up my hand to the nations and raise my banner to the peoples." This is interesting. This lifting up the banner is actually made reference to in the book of Jeremiah. We might go there, okay, and find out who's doing that. "They will bring your sons in their arms and carry your daughters on their shoulders. Kings will be your foster fathers, and their queens your nursing mothers. They will bow to you face down and lick the dust at your feet. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. Those who hope in me will never be put to shame." See this bowing down and licking the dust at their feet? Let's go back and read that again, because this gives us context to who it is that's going to be bowing down. Verse 9 of Revelation chapter 3. "Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee," to come and worship before thy feet. Okay? Same group of people. "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation." Okay? These are those that are going to be hidden, right? Where were we? Do I still have that reference up? Psalm 91. Let's go look at that again. "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I will trust." And then it talks about all of the things that they're going to be delivered from, those that are in the secret place. Okay, let's go back over here. "I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation." okay? Which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. So we have to stay, whoever this is has to stay faithful to the end. Him that overcometh, I will make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my Elohim and the name of the city of my God. Okay, so these are the true Zionists, which is, what is the name of the city? The New Jerusalem. This is important. This is the New Jerusalem. This is not the Old Jerusalem. I've got to do a series on what is the New Jerusalem. I'm making a note here because I'll never get done with this if I do that right now. What is the New Jerusalem? I will make that the very next video that I do. It's really important that we understand that. Okay, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. See, there's something about this too. Okay, it's actually a little different than we think it is. Okay, I need to make a reference to that because I will forget to talk about that. So let me just tell myself to go back to Revelation 3:12. Come down, and I need to link that to Joshua. I know that may not make sense to you, but I'll show it to you. And I will write upon him my new name. Glory be to the Father. How beautiful. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Okay, so this is the church of Philadelphia. This is the one. There's only two churches. There's the church of God, the true God, right? And then there's the church of Satan. You're either in one camp or the other, okay? This is the church of Philadelphia. It is the one church that remains completely faithful to Yahweh, okay? Now, the interesting thing about this is that this eagle that ended up losing in the Super Bowl, check this out. This eagle, oops, let's see if I can do this right. This eagle right here is in Philadelphia, but I would suggest that these are those that call themselves Jews but are not. This is a false statement that's going on. And I'm going to show it to you right now. So in the book of Ezekiel, we're finally going to get there. And then I'm going to end this video with the book of Ezekiel. But as you can see, there's a lot more to look at. Oh, so much more to look at. So in Ezekiel, we have this parable of two eagles. Catch this. There are two eagles and a vine. Now, I will tell you something interesting about Babylon or anything to do with Satan. I'm just going to look this up real quick. Babylon symbols. So the symbols of ancient Babylon, look at this. What is it? One of their main symbols was a lion. Who is the lion? What does the symbol of lion belong to? Right? The Lion of Judah, who is Yahushua HaMashiach, right? So he constantly steals the symbols that represent the true God, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He constantly steals them. And it's no different with the eagle. So let's go back. As a matter of fact, there's one other reference. Hang on. Okay, so this is Isaiah chapter 14. Notice the title of it, The Fall of the King of Babylon, because the ultimate king of Babylon is Hasatan, right? The accuser of the brethren. Oh, there's an important phrase that I need to make sure that we cover on another video. Wow, that's another piece that we just have to understand. Oh, there's so many pieces, okay? So if we come down here, it says, how have you fallen from heaven, O day star, son of the dawn? You have been cut down to the ground, O destroyer of nations. You said in your heart, what did he say? I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Other translations say on the sides of the north. Okay. Um, so let's continue. But what is going to happen to him? So he's a pretender. He wants to be on the throne of God, right? He wants to be above the stars of God. He wants to sit on the throne of Yahushua HaMashiach. That's where he wants to be. But it says, but you will be brought down to Sheol, to the lowest depths of the pit. Those who see you will stare, they will ponder at your fate, right? Okay, so he's a pretender. So returning back to the parable of the two eagles and a vine, okay? So here we are. Now the word of Yahweh came to me saying, Son of man, pose a riddle. Speak a parable to the house of Israel. So who is he talking to? The house of Israel. Who is the name of the servant? The servant in 49. What is his name? Let's go back up here towards the top. It says, okay, yes. He said to me, you are my servant, Israel, in whom I will display my glory. Okay. There it is. And what is his purpose? Is to bring Jacob back to him, that Israel might be gathered. Those are really important things to understand, okay? Let's go back to Ezekiel, all right? So who is this talking to? Pose a riddle, speak a parable to the house of Israel, and tell them that this is what Yahweh says. A great eagle with great wings and long pinions, full of feathers of many colors, came where? To Lebanon. What is Lebanon? Lebanon is where the great cedars come from. It's the highest mount in northern Israel. Okay. It is called, Lebanon means white. It is the white mountain of Israel. Okay. So it came to Lebanon, it came to the highest height of Israel. And what did it do? It took away the top of the cedar. He plucked off its topmost shoot. Okay. So he took the best of the best of Israel. And where did he take them? This eagle with colored wings, with feathers of many colors. He took them, he carried it to the land of merchants. Let me go back here. There's something. Oh, why is this not working? Why is this not working? Oh, it's not letting me color anymore. Oh, there it goes. Well, that's weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. So, he carried it to the land of merchants. Oh, I got it, right? And planted it in a city of traders. I would suggest that we need to do some research on Tyre. Who is Tyre in the latter days? Okay. Who are the ships of Tarshish? Oh, it looks like I've got like this little space where I can write. Okay. So I suggest that we should do a study, and I'm thinking right now that this is Great Britain. Okay. To a land of merchants, a city of traders. Remember, I will show you that this prophecy is latter day. This is not from the ancient times. Okay. So we have to figure out where Israel is, in the latter days. Wherever Lebanon was, wherever they were, they got carried, I believe, to this land of merchants, the city of traders, which I believe is Great Britain. All right. And I'm going to write that down. Tyre equals Great Britain. That's another study that we need to do. It's fascinating. Anyway, so that's where they got took. He took some of the seed of the land and planted it in fertile soil. This is interesting. So some of the seed of the land got planted in fertile soil. He placed it by abundant waters and set it out like a willow. Okay. It sprouted and became a spreading vine, low in height, with branches turned towards him, yet its roots remained where it stood. Okay, so the branches turned towards this eagle with many wings, right? But its roots remained where it stood. I am thinking that this fertile land, this fertile soil that it was taken to, is the U.S. This is something that needs to be studied. I haven't done a study on this, but it's what's in my head right now. Okay. So it sprouted and became a spreading vine, okay, low in height with branches turned toward him, yet its roots remained where it stood. So it became a vine and yielded branches and sent out shoots. But there was another great eagle. All right. So this is now a second eagle with great wings and many feathers. Now, this one's not many colored feathers, right? This is a distinguishing point between the two. And behold, this vine bent its roots towards him. Towards who? Towards the second eagle. Okay. And when we come to the bottom of this and it explains it, we're going to find out the second eagle is Yahweh. It stretched out its branches to him from its planting bed so that he might water it. So now it's reaching for Yahweh, okay? This branch. So you are to tell them that this is what Yahweh says. Will it flourish? The original plant, will it not be uprooted and stripped of its fruit so that it shrivels? All its foliage will wither. Okay. So Yahweh is actually going to destroy the tree that was planted by the first eagle. It will not take a strong arm or many people to pull up its roots. Even if it is transplanted, will it flourish? Will it not completely wither when the east wind strikes? It will wither on the bed where it sprouted. Right? So this first tree will not endure, will not stand. The one that was planted by the first eagle. Okay. Then the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, now say to this rebellious house, do you not know what these things mean? Tell them, behold, the king of Babylon, right? So this is our first eagle, came to Jerusalem and carried off its king and officials and brought them back with him to Babylon. He took a member of the royal family and made a covenant with him, putting him under oath. Then he carried away the leading men of the land, so that the kingdom would be brought low, unable to lift itself up, surviving only by keeping his covenant. Okay, so they are under bondage to Babylon because Babylon has taken all of their rulers, all of their greatest men, right? All right. But this king rebelled against Babylon and by sending his envoys to Egypt to ask for horses and a large army. Will he flourish? Will the one who does such things escape? Can he break a covenant and yet escape? As surely as I live, declares Yahweh, Lord God is Adonai Yahweh, he will die in Babylon, in the land of the king who enthroned him, whose oath he despised and whose covenant he broke. Pharaoh, with his mighty army and vast horde, will not help him in battle when ramps are built and siege walls constructed to destroy many lives. Now I'm going to tell you, I need to do research on this, but I think that Pharaoh, I will tell you that my understanding from all the research I've done is that in prophecy, Egypt refers to the United States. Okay, so the United States is going to come to the aid, whoever this is, that these rulers who have made a covenant with the king of Babylon, who ultimately is Satan, but who have made this covenant with the king of Babylon, they'll break this covenant and they will try to use the military prowess of modern day Egypt, which I believe is the United States, okay, but it won't do them any good. It won't deliver him. Okay. Pharaoh, with his mighty army and vast horde, will not help him in battle when ramps are built and siege walls constructed to destroy many lives. He despised the oath by breaking the covenant. Seeing that he gave his hand in pledge, yet did all these things, he will not escape. Therefore, this is what Adonai Yahweh says. As surely as I live, I will bring down upon his head my oath that he despised, and my covenant that he broke. Okay. We have reference to that, by the way, in Isaiah. Hang on. So this is Isaiah chapter 24. It says, the earth mourns and withers. The world languishes and fades. The exalted of the earth waste away. Isn't that what it just said? That these mighty men who've made the covenant with the king of Babylon, they're going to be destroyed. The earth is defiled. How is the earth defiled? It's defiled by its people. And what is the defilement? They've transgressed the laws. What did Jesus say? If you love me, keep my commandments. Here it says they overstepped the decrees. I don't like that translation. And have broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore, a curse has consumed the earth, and its inhabitants must bear the guilt. The earth's dwellers have been burned. Okay, this is that burning. Remember, where did it take place? It took place in Phoenix, Arizona, right? And I'm going back to the game now, to the Super Bowl game. It took place in Phoenix, Arizona. What is the phoenix? The phoenix is the bird that rises out of the ashes, right? And interestingly enough, when it talks about Jacob, the house of Jacob, in the book of Jeremiah, here's what it says. This is the word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh. This is what Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, says. Write in a book all the words that I have spoken to you. For behold, the days are coming, declares Yahweh, when I will restore from captivity my people Israel. Okay, there it is, the restoration of Israel. Didn't we just read about that? That he is going to call his servant Israel, right? In order that Jacob might be brought back to him, and that Israel might be gathered, right? I will restore them to the land that I gave their fathers. Ooh, this is really good. We need to go to the reference about that, and they will possess it. That will happen, but it will not happen until after they are gathered, which is really interesting. These, you know what? I'm just going to make a note of that because I can't go on that tangent because we'll be here for hours. My people, Israel and Judah, declares Yahweh. Now, this is really important because this refers to that scripture that I'm going to take you to, but not right now. I will restore them to the land that I gave their fathers, and they will possess it. Yes, praise Yah, that is going to happen. It's coming. These are the words that Yahweh spoke concerning Israel and Judah. Okay, this is the time. All right, when Yahweh is going to bring Israel and Judah back together. So you have to understand who Israel is. I should have already said this. So there is a reason. Okay, in the book of Genesis, at the end of the book of Genesis, Joseph brings his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, to be blessed, and they are, the name of Israel is placed upon them. They become the birthright tribe. Okay, they become the tribe that takes on the name of Israel. This is demonstrated later when the northern and southern kingdoms separate after the death of Solomon. During the reign of his first son, there were some big disputes, and so they separated. And when they broke apart, the northern kingdom, because that was ruled by Ephraim, okay, which was put as the greater tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay, it was ruled by Ephraim. Ephraim had the name Israel placed upon him. He was the birthright tribe. Therefore, the northern kingdom took on the name Israel. It was the kingdom of Israel. The southern kingdom could not take on the name Israel. They were called the kingdom of Judah or Judea. Okay, and that was why they could not take upon them the name Israel. Okay, that is why those that are lying about that nation that's been created called Israel are calling it Israel. That's why so many people are getting confused about prophecy. They don't understand that when it talks about Israel in prophecy, it's not talking about that piece of land that has been called Israel, that is nothing but a lie. Okay, that is not the nation of Israel. It's not, it cannot be, because Ephraim is not there. It is only the Jews that have gathered there. And the Jews are precious people. You know what? God is no respecter of persons, right? We are all beloved. We are all beloved. And we have to stop giving homage to people just because of the bloodlines that they claim, you know? That Jesus himself, didn't he say, um, when they said, we have Abraham as our father, what did Jesus say to the people? Oh, forgive me. It's not Jesus. It's John the Baptist. My brain just went on a hiatus for a second, but let's read it anyway. So in verse 7, because Jesus himself said there was no greater than John, right? Among the sons of men, right? Anyway, it says, but when John saw many of the Pharisees, this is Matthew 3:7, and Sadducees coming to his place of baptism, he said to them, coming out of the waters of Judah, remember we read that earlier, you brood of vipers, who warned you to flee from the coming wrath. Produce fruit then in keeping with repentance, and do not presume to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father. For I tell you that out of these stones, God can raise up children for Abraham. The axe lies ready at the root of the tree, and every tree that does not produce good fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire. Okay, so these are the words of the Lord spoke concerning Israel and Judah. So these are the two sticks coming back together that are in Ezekiel 37, but we won't go there. Yes, this is what Yahweh says. A cry of panic is heard. All right, so this is Israel and Judah that he's talking about. A cry of panic is heard, because you have to understand they're together in the same land. It's what a lot of people don't understand about these prophecies. A cry of panic is heard, a cry of terror, not of peace. Not of peace. Ask now and see, can a male give birth? See, I told you that when it talks about the house of Jacob, excuse me, I dropped a pencil. There are constant references to it being like a woman in labor, right? Because it just gets worse and worse and worse. Why then do I see every man with his hands on his stomach like a woman in labor, and every face turned pale? How awful that day will be. None will be like it. It's going to be tough. It is the time of whose distress? Jacob's distress. Or some of the translations say it's the time of Jacob's trouble. That's what it says in the KJV, okay? The time of Jacob's trouble. But he will be saved out of it, okay? That is the reason why it's happening. It says that in Isaiah as well. Okay, so this is one of the chapters that we're going to talk about in another study, but I'm just going to give you this one verse, verse 22 of Isaiah 19, because it's the same idea, right? So out of the ashes, the phoenix is going to rise, all right? There's going to be a burning, but that is what will, in the end, result in Jacob being able to be redeemed and become Israel. And the Lord will strike Egypt. Remember, I told you Egypt is the United States. With a plague, he will strike them, but heal them. Okay. Then we'll turn to Yahweh, and he will hear their prayers and heal them. Because at the beginning of Isaiah, the situation that we find the daughter of Zion, which is the house of Jacob in, is not a good situation. Okay, so that we know who is being talked to here. Let me find it really quickly. Here it is. So the daughter of Zion. So here's the daughter of Zion. And what is her situation? At the very beginning of Isaiah, it says, why should you be stricken again? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick. The whole heart faints. From the sole of the foot even to the head, there's no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. Remember, it says, and in striking Egypt, I will heal it, right? They have not been closed or bound up or soothed with ointment. Your country is desolate. Look at this. Your cities are burned. What did it say? But being burned, right? Strangers devour your land in your presence, and it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. So the daughter of Zion, okay? And what's going to happen with the daughter of Zion? There's going to be a very small remnant that's going to remain. All right. So to end this, because my husband and son want me really bad right now, so I've got to stop. Anyway, to end this, all right. So we have this representation of, remember, it's the arrow, the polished arrow. All right. Let me just go back and just read that one little spot. It says, he made my mouth like a sharp sword. He hid me in the shadow of his hand. He made me like a polished arrow. He hid me in his quiver. Okay. He said to me, you are my servant, Israel, in whom I will display my glory. All right. So here is his servant. I would suggest this is probably the 144,000. Okay. That's being talked about right there. So let's go back. So we have the arrow, and the arrow, even though it goes through some pretty tough times and almost loses, in the end, he's strengthened and he wins, right? In the meantime, this false system, Babylon, the first eagle, those who pretend to be Philadelphia, they lose. There we go. Okay.